Hey, Wally.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good, man. Great to be with you.
Absolutely, man. It's been a long time, huh?
I know. I think the last time it was maybe I saw you at Calvary Chapel, and I also saw you at Essence of Being around the same time.
Essence of being. Yeah, yep.
Yep. How you been?
Pretty good, man. Yourself?
Uh, Pretty extraordinary, even though the world seems to be going through something right
Oh, it's
now.
going on through hell right now for sure, man. I've been actually I've changed. I actually shut my own business down about 4 years ago. I was going through my divorce, and actually, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And actually, at that point in time, I made a shift. I changed interest. Went through a little bit of difficult time, but I'm back. I'm working at a company called Brandstar now, and we're doing some pretty phenomenal things over here. Still in the
Well,
same industry, though. Yeah, for sure.
I know you're talented, so anywhere you are, they're lucky to be partnered with you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let me see. Can I change the view on this thing? Let's see. Okay, I'm on top. You're on. There we go. That's better. Okay. So when are we going live? Or are we live
We're
right now?
we're live right
Oh my gosh!
now.
Thanks. Okay.
Don't
Okay.
worry,
How
we'll
about?
cut.
Okay.
We
So how
can
about an
cut.
introduction? Are we on Facebook now, or no? Is that going to be tomorrow?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, and just so you know, we're going to cut this video up, and we'll have an edited
Okay.
version out
Good.
on Sunday.
All
Uh,
right. So how about a formal welcome, and we can go from there.
yes, Wally, thank you for joining us. I know you're a father, and I'm sure you're a great father. And this is an
Absolutely.
extension of my acknowledgement of you as a great father and a great man.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much. How long you been a father for? How many kids do you
My
have too?
I have three kids. Actually, three. I have my son John Luke. He is going to be 17 this year. My daughter Joanna, she's 14, going on 15, and my youngest one will be Josiah, who will be 11 next week. Actually, a week from Father's Day.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes,
How
fantastic.
how's the journey been for you?
Can I tell you? There's a saying that I love. It says, "Life is a journey and not a destination." It's a journey because you go through different phases. And, one thing I can tell you that one people it's constant for those of you who have young children right now, this too shall pass. So you're going to be wanting them back. I remember people telling me, when they're little kids, it's like it's one thing, but all of a sudden you're staring at a 16-year-old son who's driving now and a daughter who's 15 and gorgeous, just thinking, oh my gosh, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, what am I going to do now? And I remember hearing the stories from my friends, but it goes by literally in a blink of an eye. And so even my youngest one, it goes by so quick. And it's always like different stages of life that you're learning. So right now I'm entering a stage with my two teenage kids that I haven't really been in before, but it's interesting. And what I found is that when they get to be when they're younger, it's like we spend our time directing them and leading them and teaching them. As a principle says, train a child when he is young, and when he is old, it will not depart from him. That's out of the scriptures. And I've always believed in that precept and that concept because ultimately we have a role as fathers. We have a responsibility as parents. And a lot of times, what I'm seeing in today's culture, people are letting kids make their own decisions at 2, 3, and 4 years old. It's like, but where does the guidance come in? That's where I find myself as always being a leader and guiding my children every step of the way.
The stage you're in now, you're saying they're teenagers. Are they starting to get their own direction right now? Are they a little bit of trouble at this age? What's the stage you're in right now?
Because of how we raised them from the beginning, they're pretty much status quo. But here's one thing I've learned about teenagers: you have to be able to communicate with them. Now, I'm not an advocate of being friends or best quote buddies with my children, but one thing I realize, I have to be that authority figure, but at the same time, I have to be open and receptive to listen to them. And one thing I do now, because I'm not at home, although I am divorced, I have a very important role, and that's communication. I want to make sure my teenagers are open to share anything with me that they're going through and providing a safe space for them where they're not going to feel judged. They're not going to, oh my God, if I tell dad, he's going to kill me. Because what I realize is that they're adults. My son, he's 16 right now. He's pretty much, he's working he's got a job at Publix, working part-time, saving up for his first car. And I have to teach him to make the right choices. So when someone's a teenager, pretty much the parenting is already done. You've already laid the foundation. You set the stage. They have core values and beliefs, but guess what? At this point, they go on their own. They start making their own decisions, choosing their own values, and also be able to make. I talked to my son the other day. I said, "Listen, John Luke, you have to make the right choices. If you want to tell me anything, tell me. I am not going to come up with a hammer." It's all about providing a safe space for them to feel not judged and loved. Even my daughter, I got in a political discussion. I was at a Smoky Bones restaurant. They opened up, and the guy said, "I don't like to talk about politics." She just left the table. And I'm like, "I don't like to talk about politics." And I said, "Listen, you don't have to talk about politics. You choose your own viewpoint. At this point in the stage of the game, I have basically told you, you know where I stand, you know where your mom stands. But when it comes to political and social issues, she's going to be conforming her beliefs to the people that she's associated with. And I hate to say this, the liberal teachings that they're teaching them in school now. So go ahead and believe. You follow your moral compass, follow your belief system, and you'll be fine."
Wow. Sounds like you've really opened up a lot with your kids. Like you have a very open communication line. Anything, you just want them to come to you if they're in a dilemma or something. You don't
Anything,
want them to
anything.
feel like, oh, I
Even if they
can't.
feel like,
Yeah.
nothing against their mom, but if they don't feel like comfortable talking about to their mom about it, I'm the guy, and I'll say, "Come talk to me." She always asks me, even though we're divorced, "Go talk to your father, ask your father." So I want to be, and the other dads out there, we've already they know if you've been with your kids, they know who the authority figure is. They respect you most time as a authority figure. They may rebel at a certain point, but understand they know your role in the family. Now, I could be the one to drop the sledgehammer, or I can be the one that comes with ease and grace and listen to what they have to say. They know my standpoint. I'm going to tell them my viewpoint, but I'm going to tell them at the same time, you got to grow up. They're going to be adults. Listen, when people tell you it goes by quick, for those of you with little kids, 3, 4, 5, you watch and see, you're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, they're in college now." I know a lot of my friends with kids are graduating from college, and I can't believe it because I knew them when they were babies. But my point is, it all goes by in a blur. So you just have to make sure you're present, that you're active, and that you're communicative with your children.
Wow. That's awesome. And it sounds like you're extending them some autonomy right now. They're coming of the age and you're giving them the presence that, hey, this is your life. You need to make these choices on your own. And I'm here for you.
Pretty much. But I tell you, listen, you guys, and I'm going to tell you guys a secret. When kids are in school, you know who their biggest influences are? Their friends, the popular culture. And you could say all you want to try to keep them away from this and keep them away from that. They're going to be exposed. They're going to come out of the bubble. I remember hearing a story about 10 years ago about these kids at a very popular Christian school. They went up the deep end, started doing crazy bleep. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, wait a minute, how can these kids do these things? We taught them they should walk the straight line and not veer to the left nor to the right. Listen, children are children. You get to be a teenager, you get to that place where you think you know everything. We've been there. And what I tell my kids, I was in your spot. I was a teenager once. And me and my brother were talking the other day. We said, man, if these kids did what we did when that age, we'd be in a lot of trouble. The good news is they have a good moral compass. But understand, when you're not with them, when they're at school, there are other people that are influencing your children. Wake up and smell the coffee, because people find out, "Oh, my son did this." Listen, it was going on the whole time, but your eyes were closed. You were preaching your dogma, your doctrine to them, and not listening to where they're coming from. Because if you open up with your kids, they're going to share with you. You give them a safe space, they're going to share with you, communicate with you, and you are there to guide them, not to be the enforcer. Some people may disagree with me, but the enforcer, that guy was enforcing them from the time they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and possibly 10. But at a certain point, you have to trust what the word declares. If you train them when they're young, when they get older, it shall not depart from them. Many of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. You may have went astray. You're like, "I don't want my kids to have to go down that same path, But my point is, if you don't address it, it's going to come back to haunt you. And there's some sad stories out there where parents didn't address some of the things with kids, and they're no longer with us today. They didn't communicate openly with them, and they're not with us today. So, and I know a lot of people, God bless all those who have lost a teenager to something horrible or horrific. But it's important you guys love them. This is the number one thing I will tell you. Love your sons. Love your daughters. When I say love, I mean give them hugs, kisses, let them know that you're there for them. Because That's all they had. But you were like the only father for most of them, except for these other families that they ever knew. And you were there the day they were born, and you saw them the first time they tripped and fell down. You changed thousands of freaking diapers. Goodness gracious, for those of you like me. But also, you were there when they spoke their first words, took their first step. And we know. I always tell people this now. I tell my kids, I know you better know yourself. And at a certain age, for about 5 years old, they've developed certain character traits, and you see how they're going to be throughout life.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. Do your what kind of morals and virtues did you instill in your kids early on? What was important for you to have them get such that now they're here, they've got the tools to deal with life?
First of all, the foundation is having a belief system. There are many people who, I don't want to force anything on my kid. I'm like, so what are you going to do? Leave it up to the streets to tell them? And again, so we took strong Christian faith and values that we taught our children in church every week, biblical principles of thoughts, because I tell you, if you have a shaky foundation, you're going to fall all over the place. So the foundation for me is the foundation of my faith and my belief in Jesus Christ, okay, as my Lord and Savior. Number one. And the precepts and concepts that come out of the Bible. And again, a lot of people think the Bible is about rules and regulations. Do this, don't do that, do that. It's a guide for us. And some people, I fell in the trap of do this, don't do that, man. But it's like, there's so much more to it. It's about having the Spirit, using the wisdom that comes from God, and the intellect that comes from God. Because you know how many people I meet who tell me they never grew up with any type of religion, foundation, belief system, or nothing. And now they realize, oh my gosh, there is something bigger than me, what they call it, source or God or whatever. They never had that. So for me, I think as a parent, you need to direct your children. Well, if they depart from it, say, for example, they decide, Dad, they can become adults or whatever. Oh, Dad, I don't believe in that anymore. Guess what? I have to hold to the promise of the word that says, when they're old, they didn't say young, it shall not depart from them. Again, I'm going back to the biblical principles because that's the foundation of my faith. And having a solid foundation and a solid belief system and a solid structure is making them, actually keeping them safe. I was reading an article the other day about someone had an 11-year-old son. He decided he was transgender. I'm like thinking, what? Or 8-year-old, or 3-year-old. I read this all the time. Like, how can the 3-year-old know the heck that they're transgender? I'm open to whatever people say. I'm not liberal. People know that I have my belief system, but I don't judge everyone, nothing but love. But I'm saying that as a parent, can you imagine a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old doesn't even have any experience in the world, they feel like they want to do this or they want to do that. Say it could be anything. Put a template of anything there, but we have to be a solid foundation. Now, I did have parents. Let me tell you about my parents, and this is where I get the root from. My parents told me when I was a child that I could be whoever I wanted to be, do whatever I wanted to do, and have whatever I wanted to have. Now, what did that look like for me? Well, it looked like me, I was encouraged, you know what, do it. And to me, I give my children the same encouragement. I realize that most of you out there have not had that type of encouragement, how blessed I was to have Barbara and Sterling in my life who led me and taught me things, because I wouldn't be the man that I am today if it weren't for them. And I teach people the same things. There's a course or training I use. It's called Life by Design for teenagers. And I'll tell you this, my mom sat me down at the age of 15. And this is a true story. And I do this with my kids. And she asked me, Wally, what do you want to do with your life? You're going to college. What do you want to study? What do you want to do? A lot of people leave it up to chance. So she said, well, you're a good speaker, because I started speaking at a young age at conference and everything about 15. You become a speaker. You can become a lawyer. You can become a doctor, whatever you want. Or my other choice was being in television. I always was fascinated by the news anchors on TV. True story, you guys. So I said, you know what? I think I want to be in the television industry. This is 15, 16 years old. So I went to University of Florida, go Gators, all day go Gators, and I enrolled in journalism school. So I remember sitting there in journalism school. I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to have my own TV show one day. That was my entrance into J school, the journalism school, Weimar Hall in Florida. A lot of you guys went to school with me, you understand. So Wally ends up becoming a DJ for one of the top rock stations in the country at the time. It's hip hop now, but it's Rock 104. I did news and sports reporting and anchoring on WFT. I was on television. And next thing you know, I'm thinking, wow, I manifest this. I create. And then of course, later on in life, I got out of school and the market was tough and I ended up getting back into television. And I created a series and a show called Interview with Larry King, the profile series. And I remember talking to my niece about a year or so ago. I said, you know what? It's no accident that I was here. Number one, I had a value instilled in me. Number two, I had a vision. Okay. Number three, I had a parents who were open to support me, whatever I did. And number four, I had a mom who challenged me and said, what the heck are you going to do with your life, boy? Rather than say, well, do whatever you want to do. And that principle and that precept and that teaching and that training, again, training me up from the beginning, be, do, and have whatever you want out of life, sitting me down and asking me what I want to do and narrowing the focus down. Because I think that right now, without leadership, people are walking around lost and in chaos and have left to their own devices without having that kind of encouragement and direction and insight from the parents. It leads them down a different path and they go places where they don't want to go. So that's what I would say right there is really having that, giving your kids direction. They may not follow your direction, but one thing I tell you, another side story, my mom, when I was younger, she said, you know what? I don't want you to be like your dad. I want to sit you down. I'm going to teach you how to wash dishes, cook, clean clothes, scrub toilets. So you got a 7, 8-year-old kid. Why the heck do I have to do all this stuff, Mom? How to make a budget, how to shop. I'm like, Mom, why? Well, when I got to college, can I tell you? I called her back and thanked her. I said, because half the girls didn't know how to do the things I did. And she taught me how to be self-sufficient. And with my parents, dad as an example, both parents in the household, by the way, made a big difference. And it taught me how to be a man, how to be self-sufficient. So these are some of the things, and it goes back to the teachings, the training, and my mom and dad, may they rest in peace, the Lord, they gave me that. And I think as a parent, we owe it to our children to give them wisdom, insight, and direction. So my son tells me he's doing this and going to high school parties. I'm like, I did the same bleeping things you did. So talk to me about it, make wide choices, and hang around the right people.
Wow, that's amazing. So your parents were extraordinary for you. They challenged you, they set you up to be your own
Yes.
man. And it sounds like you've extended that to your children.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? We everyone's different. I'll tell you that. And those of you have parents, but you know the personality of I know the person, my daughter, my son, my oldest son, I know them all. And it's like, it's my job to bring out the strengths in them, not necessarily to criticize the weaknesses. I worked at Brandstar. We did this Gallup study one day, and they showed us, what you hear, they said, if you spend more time focusing on your strengths, guess what? You'll grow exponentially, probably 33% more than try to say, I'm weak in this, I'm weak in that, and focusing on those weaknesses. Well, what I do with my kids, and case in point, my daughter had to give a presentation about a month ago in speaking. That's what I do. And I write speeches and I give speech and I go live. I do a lot of things like that. So I sat her down, I get a brief introduction to her. I said, here's what you need to do. And I coached her through it. She practiced. I told her the whole flow of organization and keep your mindset correct. And she killed it. And now she's like, we got closer because of that. But my point is, I used something I taught her and trained her, helped her to emphasize that skill, because as a leader, you're going to need those types of skills to go forward.
Wow. Sounds like as a Christian, you follow biblical teaching, but there's so much grace around you. Like you really have a lot of grace that even if your kids quote unquote do something wrong, which who knows what that even is.
You know where that came from, you guys? Because I was broken. I was humbled. Listen, people don't know, but I was one of the most judgmental people on the planet when I was a boy, when I first got saved and a little years after that. But when I went through some life changes that really humbled me, that broke me, that stripped me of everything. And it gave me a whole new perspective and understanding of the grace of God. Because those who walk in the perfect life to think I don't need God. Why do I need God? But you find out you do need him in so many ways. And it's not about the rights and wrongs. I was a rule and regulation. They used to call me the Bible answer man back in the day. Those of you know that, you know what I'm talking about, right? But I got a little bit more. I learned to understand, experience the grace of God when I went through some hardships in life. And in fact, right now I'm writing a book about that, about the precepts and concepts that I learned after being broken, stripped away and everything. I just started writing stuff, and it's coming out on June 26th at the Global Vision Conference. with Johnny Reagan. Shout out to the Global Vision Conference. The name of the book is called Transformational Truths, a series of thoughts, principles, and experiences created to guide you through life's journey. That's my story, because you know what? That's where that grace came from, brother. Trust me, people used to see me, you're one arrogant SOB, proud. I was just confident and overly confident, but more in God than in myself. And a quote I wrote said, be confident, be humble in your circumstance, but confident in your abilities. And that's going to be in my book, to the whole principle about that. But that's where this grace comes from. Trust me, I'm the hammer, I'm the thunder. But man, when you go through what I went through, you learn real quick who your friends are, number one. And you're real quick that God is with you always. He'll never leave you and never forsake you. So that's where that grace comes from.
Wow. Yeah, it's like when you've been through the most challenging parts of life, you always trust that with God, there's nothing that's impossible. I've seen
All
it.
things are possible, my friend.
Yep. What has having that faith foundation enabled for your children?
You know what it's enabled them? It's enabled them to believe in something higher than themselves. Funny, I met with a buddy for lunch yesterday, and he's struggling right now. He's like, I don't believe in God. I said, what do you consider yourself? He says, well, I consider myself spiritual. I follow if you're out there watching, shout out to you, much love for you, brother. I'm just speaking the truth. And he said, I consider myself to be a Buddhist. And I said, well, Buddhist? What do you mean? To follow the concepts and precepts of Buddha life. But what I told him, for me, I gave my own story. He was asking me questions about what I've been through. I know what I told him. I said, if I had to depend on myself and there was nothing greater, the roof hit the ceiling with me, there is no other entity, power, source, God other than me, I want to curse, shitload of trouble. I'm just going to say it. But my point is, I said, even if it gets to the end of my life and realize, well, he didn't believe that there was, he believed this, but there was no real God. Guess what? I lived a life not trying to carry the load, not trying to carry the burden on my own shoulders. So God has given me grace, man, to realize with him, like you said, all things are possible. And he said, I will never leave you or forsake you. He said, call on me and I'll answer and teach you and speak to you deep and unsearchable things that you would not know.
Wow.
Some people I'm calling on myself, but I'm not calling Wali. Wali, save me. I'm not. But I believe also that God gave us ability to become conscious creators through the Bible, precepts. He said, let the weak man say, I am strong. Let the poor man say that I am rich. So guess what, you guys? God's given us an ability within us to create things. And many of us do it, don't even know it. And one of my titles that I go by is Wali Waiters, the conscious creator. Now, teaching my kids, my youngest son, he's like the mini me of this world. That one day I taught him something that from the age of 2, just know I had the ability to find things, and they would just call on me. I would actually see where the thing was in my mind's eye and go get it. 2, 3 years old. So my son's 7 years old, and he says, Dad, I can't find blah, 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 blah. Joe and I, his iPad. I can't find this, or his money. He was looking for something like that. And so I did. I said, be still. God says, be still, know I got you. So this is about having that faith and belief system, going back to that foundation. I said, ask God where it is. He said, God, because I did it for him and I found what he's looking for. He said, God, where's my $20 bill? And I asked him, I said, well, I see it on top of something right now, inside of something. And I saw it. God gave me the vision to see it. We opened the drawer and there it was sitting there. He looked there before, didn't find it. So he started utilizing this. So not only his cousin, his mom. Janiyah lost her iPad. So, okay, and I did a little video. I got still. I asked God where it was, and I saw it. Now, does everybody have this innate ability? Probably not, but his mom has used it for him to find her keys. His sisters use them. So he's at the age 3, 4 years later, he's forgotten how to use those gifts. But I believe that Bible says clearly that we all are given certain gifts, talents, and abilities, right? In 1 Corinthians 13, the spiritual gifts. And other parts of the Bible, it says, stir up that thing that is in you. In 1 Timothy, Paul laid hands on Timothy. So for me, in teaching my kids these biblical precepts, has given them the opportunity to explore the things of the body, the mind, and the spirit.
Wow. And that's the richness of life, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, I know a lot of people out there. It's a funny thing. I used to be so narrow-minded. If you weren't a Christian, you're this and that. But you know what I realized in being around people from like the Essence of Being and some of the workshops, there's some freaking great people out there. And what am I supposed to be? I'm supposed to be a beacon of light, not a hammer to beat them and pound them into the ground, man. Love. But Bible says what? Love covers a multitude of sins. Above all, love each other. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud. It's not rude. It is not self-seeking. But there's not love where there prophecy will cease, miracles will cease, signs and wonders and tongues will cease. And remember, Paul said this clearly, but the greatest of these, faith, hope, and love, the greatest of these is love. So I tell people, when you hear love, especially in this world, that's all the crap that's going on today, all the staged media, I'm calling it manufactured media and stuff, is putting people in a position where there's creating division. But I'm telling everybody, rise above this. And I don't care if you're a Buddhist, a Christian, a Catholic, a Jewish person, whatever it is, love. Put on love, you guys. Put on love. Clothe yourself in love, man, because it's gonna change this world. Because right now, I got to tell you, Nathan, I got caught up. As a Black man in this country, I got caught up because you know what? I've experienced all those things. I never told one person about it. So what do I mean? I did a video. You can go to my facebook.com/Wali Waiters. You can watch the video I did. And I just shared my heart in all humility. But what does that mean? Again, training up a child, teaching your children to love. Teach them, you know what? All these racism and skills are learned at home, man. These beliefs, I tell my kids, guess what? You are this, but also be aware of this. But do not fear, because God is with you. He will comfort it. He'll lead. He'll pick you up and hold you close to him, because God's always with you. And I don't want my kids to be hateful, and I don't want them to be fearful. My parents told me not to be afraid. They said, stand up for what you believe in and stand up for your rights. Do what's right. And ultimately, it'll change your life. And do I make mistakes? Do I do wrong things? Absolutely. There's only one that's perfect. We all know that. But my point is, I've instilled in the same belief system to follow your faith in your heart. Love. Put on love first. We're not talking about, in the Greek, there's probably 6 or 7 words for love. There's agape, there's phileo, there's the erotic love, eros, there's sturgis, which is more respectful love. But my point is, put on love as we know it in America, which is love, that phileo, that brotherly love. That agape, that unconditional love. Doesn't matter. You know what unconditional means? Everybody says, well, I don't love with conditions. I gotta have conditions when I love somebody. Well, sure, she has to be about this tall, look this way, and speak a certain way. That's not what I'm talking about. That's more like eros. But I'm talking about love based on not what someone says or does, but based upon God's love, because he loves you first. And you just exemplify that love, which will cover all the sin. So for all those people out there hating, love. My brothers and sisters, white, Black, whatever color, Hispanic, whatever, love. Because all the rest of this nonsense is calling it division. What did the Bible say about when there's division and schisms among you? So guess what? That's as believers. But I'm talking about the world, and I'm talking about humanity as a whole.
Wow. We took this down a super spiritual path, and you reminded me of something one of my mentors told me is if you have to build, you have to maintain it. But if you let God do the building in your life, God maintains it. And learning to yield myself before God to do the work. And it's a much more enjoyable life. I still have challenges, but
don't we all? Anybody out there gets challenged? Can I see a raise of hands, show of hands, like, click, whatever it is that? Because I thought about the scripture, one of my favorites. It says, Psalm 127, it says, except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain who build it. Except the Lord watch the city. The watchman, the guard, he watches in vain. So it's in vain to rise up early. It's in vain to stay up late. Because the scripture said, when you put in God's hands, he's going to give you peace. And I didn't mean to turn this into a sermon, you guys, but he asked me certain questions. And you guys, I'm open. And I consider myself to be a Christian and beyond at this point. Open and receptive to what God is bringing in my life, the right people, the right places, the right opportunity. That's one more thing I want to tell you about my kids that I taught them. I taught them when they were young, and I know it won't depart. We did these daily declarations of faith, and I have a video of my youngest doing these things. And here's what it is. The gist of it is, now, the Bible says, speak those things that are not as though they were. In other words, and there's a saying that says, feeling get the blessing. So I tell them, we practice these every day and before bed and in the morning, and I'm going to share them with their declarations of faith. And basically, I am blessed. I have them say it. I'm prosperous. I am strong. I'm healthy. I'm talented. I am creative. I'm confident. I am secure. I'm disciplined. I am focused. I'm attractive. You know what? And people like me. I have a great personality. The right people are in my future, and the right opportunities are in my path. I will accomplish my dreams. I will overcome every obstacle. This is my day. This is my time. This is my year. God's getting ready to show me something that I did not know, new and unsearchable things. And it's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. It's going to be greater than anything I've ever seen, hoped for, imagined. And I'm the redeemed of the Lord Most High. And I say this today in the name of Yahshua, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen and amen. And can I tell you this day? These kids still know this. They may not know exactly what it means, so I break it down and teach them. But that's one of the things, thank you for reminding me, is I taught them to believe, have these declarations and speak those things into existence. And if you don't have a practice like that, I would encourage you to teach your kids those basic things. Teach them goal planning. What's your future going to look like? Teach them to see themselves being and doing and having the good that they desire. The funny thing, when kids are young, they have no problem. I want to be a fireman. I want to be this. I want to be a lawyer. But what happens? They get old there. People say, you can't be no dang lawyer. Who do you think it was? Anybody in your family ever a lawyer? You can't be a doctor. But my point is, parents, your words are so powerful that you speak to your kids. Fathers, I don't care where you're from the guttermost to the uttermost, whether you were a crackhead one day and now you're saved and sanctified, or you're a CEO of a Fortune 100 company and now you're dead broke. It doesn't matter. Everyone in between. We have a responsibility as fathers to love our children unconditionally, to pray for them daily, to encourage them through life's difficulty and be that rock in their lives they can turn to no matter what.
Wow. Wow. So you taught your kids confidence in the spirit, is what I just heard.
Yes, and my parents taught me the same thing. You know, it's like I took it to the nth degree, though. I'm that classic middle child overachiever, and I overachieved always in my life. And to me, it was even at jobs I've worked at, starting my own company from the ground up, it was always that drive, that passion, that vision they place in me that allows me to create and to be, to do, and to have. And when I hit that rock bottom spot last year, everybody was telling me, you're going to get through this. So I'm telling you, even in your darkest times, there's light. There's a beacon. And Can I tell you, in one day, everything flipped. It says, what? But God. And that's the equation you don't see. So if you're going through those dark times, the parents, maybe your children are at that rebellious stage in life, remember, but God. And I'm telling you this because this is what I believe and this is what I see. And maybe I haven't had some of the experiences that some of you had as parents, and I bless you and I thank you for being those examples and for being those rocks. But with what I have right now, I have 3 beautiful, lovely children. I have 3 very passionate children, all different personalities and driven. My son, I didn't have to tell him to get a job. This son of a gun, I tell him he's going to be successful. He's just persistent. Every day in middle school, he drove his bike to Publix, told him, I want a job. Another day, I want a job. I want a job. I want a job. And finally, he said, okay, fill out the application, John Luke. He filled out the application over there. He's been working there 2 years in the bus, or he just became a cashier over there right now, and he's going to get him a car. Determined. He'll take that. He's been taking tri-rail, buses, planes. He'll take any way to get where he wants. He'll figure it out. My point is, he has that determination that was instilled in him. But he had it in him. All I did was guide him, but I didn't tell him to get a job. He decided one day I want to get one. So you guys, I would say just always encourage your children that they can do whatever they want to do. I don't care if you think they're dumb, stupid. By the way, don't ever call them dumb. Don't ever call them stupid. And I'm just going to revert back to another story because, Nathan, you got the spirit moving. There was a woman. I was at the gym. This was going back probably about 10 years ago. No, maybe not quite 10, 8, 9 years ago. You know what happened? So I was telling her how I get my kids to do these declarations. Oh, man, that's beautiful. I never heard anything like that when I was growing up. All I heard from my father, she told me this true story, and she was probably 55 at the time. All I heard from my father, I wish you were dead and I wish you were never born. And at 55 years old, guess what she was hearing in her head, Nathan?
What?
I wish I were dead. Her father's words that he wishes she was dead and wished she was never born at 55 years old. And that was when she was a child. So my point is, you guys, and I remember Dr. Bob Barnes said, you may not think your kids are listening to you, but if you instill those beliefs, it's going to come back. If I tell my kids they're dumb, stupid, or worthless, guess what they're going to be thinking? Dumb, stupid, and worthless thoughts. I tell them you're beautiful, you're bold, you're confident, you're lovely, you're intelligent. That's what's going to be in them, you guys. Words are very powerful.
Wow, encouragement. I got like being a father is being an encourager, pushing them
Yes.
into their dreams, pushing them into their power, their determination, their spirit. Like, and maybe push isn't the right word, but
I was going to
pick a,
say that, but yeah, I get it.
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
big dude. I can be pushy. For those of you who know me, I can be a little pushy. Sorry.
But it's forgivable because
Yes.
I'm sure your kids know your heart, and sometimes the heart's what counts. I get your intention is really good.
Yeah. But my point is, it's like being that creator in their lives. You understand? It's like a kid when they're born, they're a blank canvas. They come to the world with intention that God said, I knew you in the womb before you were formed. But it's our idea to paint the canvas. If I let them go ahead and paint and do this and that without giving a moral compass any direction, you end up with what you end up with. A buddy of mine posted something the other day, Mike Gerard. He said, remember the days back, they told us it was wrong to spank our children. But look what's happening now with the chaos and anarchy of children out in the streets. I can tell you, those who grew up from my generation, you know what happened. I'm not even going to get into it at this point. But you step out of line, you're going to get stepped on. So it's about teaching respect for elders, for parents, and everything in society was different. Don't get me wrong. Some people got out of control with that shit. But, to me, I never spanked my children. We use a wooden spoon, they're young. But guess what? At a certain point, they realize what's right or wrong. And it wasn't like I want to punish them, abuse them, or anything like that. I just want to guide them and teach them with authority and with love. Always done in love, not out of anger. That's the way I was taught.
Wow, that's beautiful, Wally. Let's see. I'm fine staying on a little longer, but I promised you 30 minutes, and it's been about 40.
It has been. Let me tell you. Let me look at my calendar. I'm good until 4:00, so we can go a little bit longer if you have more questions. Because I didn't know how deep you were going to get. I thought you were going to ask me 10 questions, this and that, and I'm done. But now that you have the spirit moving like this, I almost don't want to quench it.
I know. I mean, I feel like I'm speaking to like an evangelist preacher. I'm like, you're pouring it out right now, and it's blessing me because I was a little tired coming in, having these back-to-back interviews. They've all been extraordinary. Each one has blessed me, but you're bringing something else out that's very unique and special. I wanted to ask you though,
Sure.
I want to ask you about your pride as a father. Like, what have your kids been for you that's really touched you as a father that you feel?
You know what they have been? They have been unique in expressing themselves, talented and gifted and determined. And I say this because they have a lot of characteristics of me and also my former wife, that we have beautiful kids, but also they are driven. My daughter is smart. She said, I told her this true story, you guys, that when she was little, I said, first of all my kids came home in Florida Gator outfits. That's how, so you guys, that's I'm a big time Gator. I told them, first grade, I said, Joanna, if you want to get in the UF, you got to get straight A's. Well, Joanna's a freshman at Olympic Heights, AP classes. She's rock and rolling, acing it with ease, grace, and peace. So what makes me proud is my daughter, she plays instruments and she's determined. She's herself, she's herself. And all my kids, I want them to be all individuals, not to conform to everyone else out there, and be transformed by renewing their mind, reading. And they're lazy during the pandemic. They're playing video. Listen, you guys, I feel y'all. They're playing video games, Fortnite, whatever else they be playing when they're home. Because I know all your teenage kids are playing it too. Probably play with my son. My son is playing Roblox. My daughters are vibing to Spotify and listen to music on YouTube. Listen, they're kids. They're going to do this. And they're way ahead of us on technology. So social distancing really wasn't that much of a challenge for them. They already had that. My daughter, when the pandemic hit, you know what she said? I'm going to self-quarantine myself in my room. All she had was the iPad and a phone. She was good to go, didn't have any human interaction, but I make them get out and exercise too. But my point is, you guys, it's like, I let them be themselves. And I remember the days telling me, you got to put that phone down and quit talking to people, go out and meet people in person. Guess what? The new normal, guess what? It already was the normal for them already. So like 5 or 6 years ahead of us. For those of us out there or parents right now, how do I use this here thing called Zoom, Microsoft Teams? What's going on here? Oh, preachers? You put a preacher online, you put him in front of the crowd, he lights. If you get him in front of the camera, he looks like a deer in the headlights. Have you noticed this too? I've noticed a lot of the people who aren't used to being online, used to be alive, they're feeling the energy and the synergy. So it's one of those things with my children. They're all uniquely gifted in different areas. There's no one the same. And I have a saying I wrote. do not compare yourself to anyone else. You are made by God for a specific plan and purpose. And just be yourself, express yourself, do yourself. Well, I would agree with you all the time. No, but as my parents, as a parent, I got to give them the space to find things out on their own and figure things out. Now, certain things are non-reconcilable on my end. I don't need to mention them. That's for another conversation. However, be good. Are you going to make mistakes? Yes. Sometimes we fall down. We got to get back up again and keep going. I like what Les Brown said years ago. He said, when I fall down, I want to fall straight on my back, because if I can look up, I can get up.
You sound like him too. That was awesome.
Yeah, I've been compared sometimes, but I'm Wali Waiters, the conscious creator, one of a kind. That's what's up.
Wow, this has been a beautiful interview. I feel like we could talk for hours about all things spiritual.
Another time.
Definitely another
practical. Time. Yeah, but let me give a plug right now for the Global Vision Conference, and I invite you to be a part of this too. It's an online conference, Johnny Reagan. It's all about vision. And the scripture says clearly, without vision, the people will perish, right? So if anyone who has a vision, a dream, or anything, maybe you put on the side one day. I know it's probably one of your, I've talked to you about some of the things you wanted to do in the past, and I still remember, by the way. But my point is, whatever it is, never let it die. And the Global Vision Conference is bringing people together, all background, ethnicity, different ages, and it's gonna be going from all day long until like 5 o'clock. 21 different speakers from around the planet, music, authors, and so forth. And it's called, you guys can go to Movies and Popcorn. Just look up the Movies and Popcorn Movement.com, or on Facebook. You can find out my Movies and Popcorn. We're looking to engage people to be part of this, because like you have a vision here, whatever your vision is, we invite you to be a partaker on this on June 26th.
Let me add that link to the video description. You said moviesandpopcorn.com?
Yeah, the moviesandpopcornmovement.com is the website, or you can look up on Facebook, the Global Vision Conference 2020, or Movies and Popcorn. There's a whole page we have. I can share it with you later. I can put in a video. I don't know where the video is being housed, but I'm just right here on Zoom. I don't know how many people are watching this or whatever, but I know whoever's watching it. By the way, let me tell you, your feet did not fail you bringing you to this video. Your finger did not fail you logging into this right now. Whether you're watching the live version or the replay, that your lives can be changed by the precepts, the principles, and the things that all of us as dads have. Because we're none of us are the same. And I'm sure by interviewing people, you realize that to be true.
Yeah, each person's unique, and there's just gold in each person's heart. Everyone's got something beautiful to share about being a father, and I'm learning from you just a lot about the spiritual gifts. This is probably as deep as we've gone on that, and realizing how important it is to communicate and to encourage and to have that connection and relationship. I mean, that might be one of the most important things as a father, to instill in children, and
absolutely,
us as humans. I mean, I need that. You're refreshing me in the spirit.
Well, good. So I'll see you guys. I'm going to do a pre-sale on my book. I'm going to post it. It's called Transformational Truth by Wali Waiters. And I'll be a book is going to be announced on that Global Vision Conference. I'll be on at 3 o'clock. But if you follow the Global Vision Conference, the Movies and Popcorn Movement is all over Facebook. Sign in, come and join us. It's all day. You don't have to be here for all of it, but I'll be announcing my book and releasing the e-version, the ebook that day. So I'll do pre-sales in advance, because I believe, you guys, if we don't use our gifts and our abilities to change the world, who else is there? If I don't have a vision for my life, for the foreseeable future, I'm stuck in the predictable past.
Wow. Thanks, Wally. I got a vision just being here with you, man. You spark it up, and that's important, man. That's something I think we all need to have, as a vision. It drives the whole thing forward.
Exactly. Who would have thought when I met you, when I bought my first Tesla in Dania Beach in 2013, that we'd be on here doing this right now, right?
I know. I thought that was a great story. I was like, what are the odds?
So much has happened. I'm like, wait a second. That's right. You remember me from Tesla? I bought my first Tesla. And I didn't get another one, but I'm not driving a Tesla anymore, but that was my favorite vehicles of all time. So again, Nathan was there, and it was just a new wave. And like I said, who would have thought we'd be here today, sharing these things together, and of course, changing the lives of the people who are watching today. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much for doing this. I really do. And thank you. It's a pleasure for you inviting me a part of this, and it's been an honor.
Thank you, Wally. I just acknowledge you as an extraordinary human. I've actually had the privilege to watch you grow through the years as you've seen me grow. It's just been a
Yeah.
very mutual experience. And I see you really coming into your power, your spiritual power, that unconditional love you were talking about. Yeah, man, you've got it all going on and people need to feel that. And I see you as a beacon of light and a lighthouse for people during these very interesting, challenging times.
Well said, my friend. And I appreciate you acknowledging that. And I receive that.
Beautiful. Well, I need to start preparing for the next interview, but I
That's
want
good. I got a 4 o'clock call. My
to thank
brand
you.
star shout out to all my boss, Doug Campbell. These guys are, it's great over here, you guys. They're fantastic over here. Like I said, we do lifetime shows, the balancing act, designing spaces and so forth. And we're doing local versions of local businesses, entrepreneurs and so forth. It's just a great place and a great environment to work that gives me the freedom to be myself. So I appreciate that too. And I want to acknowledge them because I'm using their space.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
looking forward to
absolutely.
checking them out because I've not actually heard of
Yeah,
them, but yeah, I'm gonna check
we
them
got to
out.
get you in here for a tour sometime for sure, man.
Beautiful. All right. Well, Wally, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Wally Wade is the conscious creator. Peace and love.
Peace.
All right, brother.
Take care.
Take care, man.